ZEC, what is it exactly? Why is it up 170% in early October? And most importantly, where's it going? Do you need a ZCash price prediction? Do you need a ZCash primer or deep dive? Well, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you why Zcash is going up. I'm going to tell you why it can continue to go up. I'm going to tell you how it's connected to privacy, and I may even give you two price targets, one for a realistic price prediction and one if we have a repeat of the 2017 Banana Zone. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you like this video, obviously hit the like button or the hype button if you see it. And then also consider a VIP membership where you can get great videos like this. Now, Zcash, very simply, is private Bitcoin. It is literally a fork of Bitcoin. It has a limited supply of 21 million. And it's recently gone through a halving, which means it's gotten more scarce as miners don't get as big a reward for mining it. Also, did you know that Edward Snowden, the famous analyst who, blew the whistle on the government for spying on people? Yeah. He was a signer of the Zcash white paper. And a long time ago in 2018, Zcash came out. 7 years ago, that's a key number. And Zcash went all the way up to 900. And then you know what? In that bear market following the 2017 euphoria, it went down to 50. Could there be a repeat except going the other way where Zcash goes from 50 back to 900? Is that ridiculous? We'll talk about it. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. So let's just start with why Zcash is going up. A group called Thorswap, which is in the cross-chain trading business, out of the clear blue sky, adopts Zcash as a chain where, you can go back and forth, without going through a centralized exchange. So you can go from Zcash to Solana or Zcash to Ethereum using Thorswap. Wow, who would have thought they would have picked Zcash? Why did they pick Zcash? Well, let's see. There's 180 countries currently working on a central bank digital currency, which can allow for things like social credit scores, allow them to come into your bank account or your wallet and just take your currency away, or lock you out of your apartment, or track where you're going, or all the above. Privacy will be a major theme, and this doesn't even mention the AI world. Privacy will be a must. You will never do a transaction in the metaverse on a blockchain where they can see everything you're doing. Never going to happen. Privacy is necessary, particularly if the surveillance state is. Now, Zcash has this really cool function that they've installed recently. As in like the last 2 years, it's called the Zashi wallet, if I'm saying that right. So what that does is Zcash can go from point A to point B and be completely private, especially if you have the most up-to-date version of this Zashi hot wallet. Now, even if you have an older version, as I understand it, you can toggle your wallet and your Zcash to be sent privately or publicly. But Zcash now has a mechanism where people can transmit it, and the default setting is private. And even if it isn't on the app, it's very easy to just toggle over and make sure your privacy setting is on. So you can transmit Zcash very easily on chain from person to person, remembering that that was the key idea about Bitcoin to begin with. And you can do this using Zcash. Now, another little fun tidbit in addition to the cross-chain and the privacy narrative is that Greyscale, the guys that invented stock market trading products for the crypto world, have a Zcash product that you can buy and sell on the stock market. Now, believe it or not, this is amazing because there's no related derivatives market attached to that can potentially hold it down. So you're like, wow, Bill, you mean there's all this super bullish stuff and people from the stock market can get involved? Yes. Now, a guy named William Gann, who was a technical analyst back in the early 20th century, He kind of thought markets sometimes worked on 7-year cycles. So it's very logical that you had an epic top in Zcash in 2018. And 7 years later, you have an epic bottom where Zcash has gone from $40 or $50 to $160 in a matter of a month in October of 2025. Now you're like, oh, that's a big move. And I'm like, you know what, man? For fourth quarter rallies, it's actually a warm up. Stay with me here. Let's go back to Solana in 2023 and 2024. Solana all beat up after all the selling and all the bad press it got during the FTX debacle in 2022. Solana turned around and went from $10 or $15 to $200. So if Solana went from 15 to 30 and you're like, wow, this is up 100%, I don't think I can buy it. Well, you looked pretty stupid when Solana was 80. And I remember back then everybody was trying to tell me to take profits. And I was like, no, be a pig. It's going to 120 or 150. And then it eventually turned around and went back to 200. It went straight back to where it started. This can happen. Everybody in crypto in October of 2025 is expecting a bullish fourth quarter. But what people don't realize is frequently these rallies happen in things or instruments or coins that people don't own. Hedge funds don't own. BlackRock has $55 billion in Bitcoin ETFs out there. Okay. Well, Bitcoin has no privacy feature. Okay. And it's bogged down or can get bogged down in the legacy world, which involves derivatives and stocks and, legacy things. Whereas Zcash is Bitcoin with the privacy feature and nobody owns it. And no one understands why it's cool. They just understand that it's moving, which is very much like what happened to Bitcoin in 2017. I think people sort of get it, right? Like, oh, okay, this is electronic form of money that, went from, 2,000 to 20,000 like that. And again, 7 years later, is there a reason why you can't have kind of a similar move? Not 7 years ago, but do you know what I'm saying? 2017 can repeat itself. You can have another banana zone and everyone expects it. So why can't it be in Z? It certainly can be. Now, with the idea of private Bitcoin gaining traction and the idea of this wallet that makes it really easy to move it, let's go to the Zcash price prediction. So obviously Zcash had a 3-year winter. It has recently exploded over a 2-month period of time. And the equilibrium value for Zcash on a monthly chart is around 200. So for price prediction purposes, I'm assuming that Zcash could get to 200 and then possibly correct, probably back to 125 or 130. Now, coming off the chart for just 1 second, why would Zcash correct? Like what is the rationale? Are there any negatives about Zcash? Okay, well, there are some drawbacks, right? It's a small network, which means, it's not super secure like Bitcoin. The mining works in a similar way, but it is a small. And if everybody woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, I want to use Zcash to pay for anything, you would have a slowdown. You would have increased fees to use. I don't personally think anyone's going to care about fees if they have to get private, particularly with this important New York City mayor's race coming up in November. Just going to let you research that on your own. But Zcash would slow down as a network for payments if everyone decided to use it. Now, if we're just speculating in privacy coins, that's not relevant because you can get it on centralized exchanges. But it is a small network, and that is not as secure. Now, they are working on scaling the Zcash network for a while. Perhaps a combination of proof of work and proof of stake like Ethereum, so it can just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if they could ever scale the Zcash network, and at this point, all you would need was headlines, right? Because they are working on this. So if you continue to push out positive Zcash headlines, perhaps fixing the negatives turns it into a positive. Now, as retail begins to search for Zcash online, you can get dips after it hits 200. That is a major technical point. Now, heading into November, right, after any potential October gymnastics, say in the middle of the month, any move above 200 in November can open Pandora's box to one of two scenarios. The first scenario is that Zcash winds up back at the 2021 high. okay, which was about $400. Okay. So this is where Zcash was in 2020, 2021 at 400. Now, just to put that number in perspective, the 2021 high in Bitcoin was 70K. Bitcoin is now massively above them. ETH is already at its 2021 high, basically. And Zcash is nowhere near. So it is very logical to expect that by, say, Thanksgiving, Zcash dipped to 130 or 140, at best 100, and then turn around and eventually, once passing 200, go to 400, because we're in that type of environment. Privacy has not been traded. Zcash is not as pure as Monero, another privacy coin, but you could argue it's easier to use and it's available on every centralized exchange in the United States. Now, given this, what happens if you take out 400, or can you take out 400? Well, according to Gann's seasonal work, there's probably a 25% chance that Zcash can go past 400 and into January hit 900. So you had a major you had a major drop from 900 to 50. This could be the exact opposite. You're going from 50 to 900, and you could have a euphoric top in either December or mid-January. I'm guessing, based on the Gann work, that you would get a top in Zcash around 900 in December, if that's going to happen. And then the ensuing correction would be brutal, right? You would go to 900. Everybody would be looking for 1,000 or 2,000. And then it turns around and goes to 550 and kind of settles, possibly even retracing that old high at 400. Now, again, Zcash is Bitcoin from a technological point of view, but it's not going to move like modern Bitcoin. It's going to move like old Bitcoin, which is a good concluding idea. You ever met anybody that said, gee, I wish I bought Bitcoin at $5, $50, $150. I can't believe I sold my Bitcoin after it went up 5x. We could be there again psychologically, and I am making this video. So, you trade responsibly, not investment advice, but you don't sit there and go, well, gee, I can't participate. Because if you did that in Solana in 2023, you lost out when meme mania. Now, Zcash won't likely have a meme mania, although you never know. The thing is, as a form of money, Zcash is different. It's special. And in many ways, it's better than Bitcoin. And that is going to be all over the web if it approaches 200. And you got to get involved in it either financially, or the way I would say it is get your head in, because honestly, if it's going to 400, it'll matter if it's going to 400 if you buy it at 160 or 90. But if it's going to 900 or beyond, the price that you buy it at in the short term may not be as relevant. So from a tactical point of view, if you get these dips around, big Gann events, like say the full moon in October, which is coming up 3 days after this video was recorded, or any of these other big inflection points, when you get dips, particularly if they're big intraday dips, this can be very informative in Zcash. In other words, if Zcash only dips intraday, it goes all the way up, gets ridiculous, goes up 40%, and then comes back down, but there's no downside follow through, that is Bitcoin from 2017. And somewhere along the line, you get these 30 or 40% washouts, which again can happen in Zcash easy. And you have to be able to be there, and you can keep your positions reasonable enough in terms of their size to be able to take advantage of this kind of, because it would be funny if Zcash was the leader. If Bitcoin was the answer, it was just a different kind of Bitcoin. So to review, Thorswap, cross-chain trading, Zcash, the Zashi wallet, being able to transmit crypto, private network, the bigger the base, the higher into space. On the charts, the longer it sits, the higher it can. That's just and it could be a repeat of the Solana days where everybody goes, wow, I have Solana in a phantom wallet. And everybody went, huh? What happens if 4 months from now, everybody goes, I have Zcash in a Zashi wallet? And you're like, of course you do. Doesn't everybody? Like the video on the way out. We will see you